Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Awakening Souls podcast. So, today's episode is going to be a little bit different. This is not your traditional episode with its traditional structure. We wanted to take you behind the scenes into something we've been experimenting with, and that's been surprisingly fun, super insightful, and honestly, kind of mind blowing at times. We're talking about remote viewing and how we've been able to play with this skill using tools like ChatGPT to support and refine our intuition. This isn't a polished reading or a typical episode. What you're about to hear is raw, it's curious, and totally open. We're exploring a way to use our intuitive gifts in real time. It's something we found incredibly practical because you can receive immediate feedback when using tools like ChatGPT. Learn what you're picking up on and even get suggestions on how to sharpen those intuitive muscles. So, why did we do this? Honestly, because it's fun, because it's fascinating, and because so many of you have told us you want to learn how to strengthen your intuitive skills. And this is one of the most low pressure, accessible ways that we found to do it. This is not about being perfect or getting it all right. It's about tuning in, trusting, and practicing. Remote viewing allows you to engage all of your senses, all of your clairs, from your clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and claircognizance to above and beyond that, all at once. So you are strengthening each and every one of your intuitive skills, which I find practical not just to give readings, but practical for your everyday life, practical for guiding your life, practical for making big life decisions, and even small ones. And we're excited to bring you along on this ride. So we hope this inspires you to explore your gifts in new ways and reminds you that your intuition doesn't have to be a mysterious, out of reach thing. Sometimes it just needs to be a little fun, a little playful, have some presence and practice and patience. So let's go ahead and dive in to this completely untraditional podcast episode.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Awakening Souls podcast with Jennifer, Candace, and Rose here today. We're going to have a little fun. Lately, we have been using a technique called remote viewing to beef up our intuition. And this is a great way to practice using your intuition in a non-threatening way, which I love. And remote viewing is something that has been done for decades. I believe this started in the 1970s. I know that the government used it for spy purposes and other things as well. And it's been used for decades for gathering information. There's been studies that have been done with remote viewing that show that anybody can learn it. I love that. So that shows that this intuitive ability is something that we all have. And so it's a skill that can be learned and that can be trained. So we're going to give you just a little short version of the technique that we're using, and you can dive in and learn all kinds of, there's different strategies, different techniques, different philosophies, but we're just doing a really simple, basic version. So there is a target. The target is a place, a person, a thing. The target is assigned a random number. The random number is given to the remote viewer. They don't know what the target is. They have to connect to this place using the number, and they use their intuition to discern details. And it's all about collecting data. And this is the tricky part. You get impressions. You might see things, hear things, feel things, know things, but you can't analyze it and put it into a story. You just have to collect the data. And as you start recording the data, usually by the end, some kind of story will appear. And the data can be pictures, it can be feelings, it can be all kinds of things. So we're going to do a practice session to kind of show you what this looks like. And we're going to do a target that we don't know. We use ChatGPT to help us practice this. So we have asked ChatGPT to give us a target. We've asked for the target to be something related to Earth and something related to history, but we know nothing else about that. And we just asked for those parameters just to make it a little more interesting. The AI has given us a random number, but they haven't told us what the target is. So we're going to connect with the target. Each of us are going to pull in our own data. We're going to share our data, and then we're going to see what the target is. So this is just such a great way for learning intuition, and we're going to jump right in. All right. So you guys ready for the number?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an 8-digit number. It is 7483-9215.
Hey guys, Candace here. If this podcast has brought you value, if it's made you think differently or helped you in any way, the one free thing that we ask is that you subscribe to this podcast. It's the best way to support us. It helps more people find these conversations, and it tells us that what we're doing matters to you. Thank you for being here. Let's get back to our show.
How are you guys doing so far?
Good. I'm excited.
No, I feel like I'm getting contradictory information now. So,
Me too.
Okay.
I was
Yeah.
getting, yeah.
Okay. So who wants to give me their information first? I'm just putting it into ChatGPT. Data. Okay, Candace, just give it to me in whatever order you got it.
Okay, so I was zoomed in and I could smell dirt. I could feel the ground and it was crumbling in my hands, and I could see bugs and worms. So the area felt small and closed in.
Okay.
I could feel walls, and the walls felt rough but organic. And I could move my hand, like I could break apart the wall and move my hand through the wall. That was really weird. And then I can see light exposed through the hole. So then I zoomed out and I can hear the sound of sticks and leaves breaking underneath my feet. I could feel and see the sun. So it was a daytime. It was hot, kind of muggy, a little bit sweaty. So it's summer. I was in a wide open space with some trees. Then I started to feel sidewalks or concrete. Then it felt like a touristy area. I could hear people who would come to look at whatever this is, but they couldn't touch it. Like it was roped off. And there was a lot of silence and like respect as they were walking through. Then I could sense that we were in a small spot that was quiet, but in a city. So I could hear cars, I could smell food, I could hear airplanes. I got the words capital, Germany, history, war, and I sensed that we were not in America. And that's all.
Okay. Excellent. What
Freezing.
data did you receive, Jennifer?
Okay, so I started buzzing way before you gave us our number. And the first thing I saw was like crystal clear water with rocks underneath. So I'm just adding that because that's how it started for me before you even gave us the number. I saw blue skies, and it took me a while to kind of get started. I was just kind of like, okay, show me some more. And I'm like, okay, take some action, Jennifer. So I was like, pick up some dirt. So I bent down and I knew I was on a pathway. So I picked up some dirt, and it was sandy. It just kind of fell out of my hands. I saw long grass and tall trees. It wasn't a lot, but there were very tall trees. I heard the word gulf. And so
What
my
word?
gulf, Gulf. So my brain went straight to Gulf of Mexico because that's like the only Gulf I know of.
Yeah, me too.
Um,
I'm sure there's way more,
I'm
but
sure there
yeah.
are. And I'm like, okay, so maybe we're down in that area, like down south. And I said, what does this have to do with history? I heard the words imports and exports, trade. And then I was like, all of a sudden, I started getting these images of being in like swamp area, like in the bayou. So I thought Louisiana, like that popped into my head. So I think I'm somewhere around that area. Yes, I got the very swampy. I saw the people riding those things they ride in the swamps. I don't even know what they're called, but
The
okay.
airboats?
Yes, airboats.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
the exact opposite of what
That is
I
interesting.
know.
Oh,
It
there's
makes me nervous now.
okay. It'll be interesting. Okay, so I put in all of our data. Oh,
What was
let me tell
yours?
you what mine was.
Yeah.
Because you guys don't have this in front of you to see. Okay.
No.
I'm just going to give it to you in order that it appeared. Sadness, crying, pain, loneliness, cobblestone street, dark gray, wet, dirty, lamppost that had yellow dim lights, horses galloping, pulling a carriage, racing in a hurry. It's an emergency. It was cold, windy, rainy. Driver whipping horses to go faster. Inside the carriage was a woman giving birth in labor. There's something wrong with the birthing process. There's a man with her worried, telling her it's going to be all right. There was a little girl scared. And then I'm like, well, where are they racing to? Are they trying to get to the hospital or something, you know? And no, they were travelers traveling through this land that was not familiar. They were escaping soldiers, police, refugees, and then I heard Nazis. And
Ooh.
that's where I stopped.
Okay.
So,
None,
okay.
almost none of our information is overlapping except for that.
This
Except
is
for the
weird.
Nazi and the Germany that you pulled, Candace. So,
Yeah.
okay, so
Yeah.
I'm going to ask, please analyze our individual data and compare it to the target, giving an assessment of our remote viewing. Yeah, let's see and see what the target is. Oh, oh, and reveal the target.
Oh yeah. Please reveal the target.
Reveal the target. Okay. Your target was the Berlin underground bunkers during World War II.
I was so
Holy
off.
shit. I literally wrote down
Yes.
World War II.
Well,
Ah.
and then you were inside the bunkers
I
too.
was in the
Mhm.
bunkers. I didn't say Berlin, but wait,
But you
Nice.
knew you weren't in America.
where
I
is
thought we were supposed to be in
Berlin?
America.
Where's, hold on. Answer my question.
Okay.
Berlin.
Yeah.
Berlin is in Germany? You're
Yeah, Berlin
trending,
is in
Jennifer.
Germany.
Oh,
The Berlin Wall separates, East and West Germany, or used to, So Rose's data, strong alignment with World War II themes, sense of fear, escaping, wartime struggle. Candace's data was the strongest hit with the underground feel, breaking through walls, moving from an enclosed space into a historical war-related tourist site. Jennifer's data could symbolize underground flooding, tunnels, or hidden waterways beneath the city. You could have picked up on that, and that could be where that led you into the water element.
Eh,
you're like
Okay.
weak.
Very weak.
Your group successfully picked up on war, history, urgency, and Germany, especially the underground aspect and World War II themes. This was a strong session overall.
Mm. For Candace and you, but man, where did my mind go? What? That doesn't
That
make sense.
that's interesting.
I think it was trying to interpret, trying to interpret what I saw and where those locations would be.
Yeah. And
That's
that's the
where.
trickiest part for remote viewing is you're not supposed to interpret. You're only supposed to just pull in the raw data. And
Mhm.
as an intuitive, when we're doing intuitive work with clients, that's our job is to put the story in there.
Mhm.
So
That's hard. That's
that's
like,
hard to stop doing that and just take in the data.
I think it's so helpful. Actually, I feel like it's helped me with my readings so much more because I'm not assuming what the story is or interpreting the story for them. I'm giving them the raw facts, the raw data, and then they apply it to their lives the way it's supposed to be applied. I'm actually seeing what I was seeing, actual images of these things. So it was helpful for me to get more clarity around where I was. And I would ask questions, and the questions would show me where I am. I said, "Where am I?" And they showed me Germany. And I was like, "But that can't be right." I need to be in America. Bring me back to America. I'm like, what is this? And they're like, no, Candace, you're in Germany. My point was is that it is helpful actually to get just the raw facts and to stop interpreting the story.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. That was really interesting.
Is Berlin a capital? What is No kidding.
I
Wow.
think so. I think it's the capital of Germany.
We're gonna look that up because I don't.
Yeah.
Berlin. It's Berlin.
Yeah.
Wow. I can't believe how accurate I was. Holy
Isn't
shit.
that it's amazing, isn't it?
Wow. Oh my God, that was so much fun. Yeah. I don't do it every day, and I haven't done it over the last week, but yeah, I practice a couple times a week.
And what are some of the targets that you've
Hmm.
been remote viewing?
It's been all over. A lot of lighthouses in the middle of the ocean. I've had a couple of those. I've had some in, like, had the Japanese garden one. There was another one in a different country. I can't remember what country it was. And I didn't get the name of the country. I just knew I wasn't in America. Nothing too crazy. I've done Paris. Oh, I went to Mars when I was being trained. Had to do remote viewing. I was in Mars, like Mars what was it? 5,000 years ago or something. I think you did the same thing, Rose, didn't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That one was really interesting. That was
Yeah.
hard. That was really hard.
Yeah. I had a difficult time with that one too.
But we could like remote anything at this point. I'm like, where could we go? What are the like crazy like the underneath the pyramids? Have you heard about all the stuff going on underneath the Giza pyramids? Yeah, I can remote view that and figure out what's going on under there.
I did that with the class that I took. It was interesting. It was very interesting.
What did you get?
Because
Let's see
that
if
was before the discovery was made, right?
I don't know.
You did do it before the discovery. Well, before I saw
Well,
the
before they
discovery was made.
announced it. Yeah, they
Yeah,
just announced it.
I don't know anything about it.
They found pillars or something that are underneath the Pyramid of Giza, and it goes how far down?
Oh,
Like
really far.
thousands of feet down,
Mm,
and connects to these like things at the bottom that you just have to look it up. It's
I will
hard to
have to look it up.
explain.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. I certainly will. What I saw is, and it was like I saw above the surface. So I went just to the pyramids and I saw like the sand and I saw camels and I saw people wearing, robes and turbans and, just to let you know that that was the part of the earth. But then I'm like, there's something secret underground was another
Mhm.
thing that I got. And then like I saw myself in these tunnels, but the tunnels were really light and there were all kinds of signs and symbols on the walls of the tunnels. And then there was also like this pulsating energy under there as well. So those were some of the things that I experienced when I went there. And just some things to know, if you are remote viewing, you don't want to go anywhere that you're not welcome. So when you're trained to do this, they recommend you don't like go to Area 51 or don't go to government places or because they do have intuitive people working to protect those places energetically and you will not be welcomed kindly from what I understand. I've never
Mhm.
experienced that. I've just heard the warnings.
Yeah, I've heard that
So
too.
yeah, so, if you're going to practice this skill, just make sure you still put yourself in your protective bubble of light. You still set your intention that you are safe and protected and call in whatever protection you normally use for any kind of intuitive work. You want to make sure you're being safe and careful. But boy, I love using ChatGPT for this. I
Mhm.
love just telling her to give me a target. I try it and then I put in my data and then she lets me know how I did and then gives me tips for improving. And it is such a nice, easy way for me to build my intuitive muscle. There's like no pressure. And like when we do it with together with us, you can fall in the trap of comparing yourselves to one another. And so that's something you got to be careful about. But if it's just you and the computer, it's like I can practice my intuition and she's not going to judge me at all. Just going to tell me how close I am and how to improve. So that's really nice.
One thing that I do love about remote viewing is that it forces you to tune into each of your individual clairs to get the full story and the full picture. It's not relying on clairvoyance to see the images because you can't. You can't rely on clairvoyance to receive whatever it is you're remote viewing, because often your brain is going to interpret the energy as a certain picture, but the picture may not be accurate. So you're forced to like tune in to your claircognizance, your clairsentience, your clairaudience, and really understand like, what does my environment feel like? What does it sound like? How does it tangibly feel in my hands? What do I feel underneath my feet? And then really get finite and detailed about the small nuances in the remote viewing session. So it strengthens all of your clairs. It's like hitting all of the spots in one big session. You are strengthening each individual clair and learning how to really interpret information through each of those senses, which is just strengthening and heightening your overall intuition.
And just another tip is, after you've done a remote viewing session, make sure you energetically disconnect yourself from the place or thing that you were seeing. So we ended up in Nazi Germany. We don't want to be connected to that energetically moving forward. So imagine yourself in your bubble. Imagine any ties that were connected being severed. Call back all your own energy so that you are not pulling in any of that energy that you've connected with. So just like any intuitive practice, you want to use good psychic hygiene to protect yourself and clear your energies afterwards. So here's a summary. If you want to try this, go to ChatGPT, ask for a remote viewing target with a random number assigned to it. Ask ChatGPT not to reveal the target until after you have entered your data. Receive the number, go into connect with that number, and I almost go into a meditative state. Take that deep breath, expand your energies, relax, and just see what your senses bring in. If your mind tries to make it into a story, erase that story and just report the facts. What do you see, sense, feel, hear, know? Just pull in all of that sense information. Write it down just as it comes in, or you can just type it right into the computer as it comes in. And then once you feel like you're not getting any more information, give that info to ChatGPT, and then it will tell you how you did, what the target is, and it can give you tips for improvement if you like. When you're done, make sure you completely disconnect, put yourself in your bubble of light, call back all your own energy. And this is just a really fun way to start building that intuitive muscle. The more you do it, the stronger it's going to get. And before we go, I want to remind you that we do have our Patreon. So if you're interested in working with us beyond the podcast, then check out our Patreon. One of the things that we do have on Patreon is every month we have an intuitive workshop. So we gather, we practice different intuitive skills together. We give tips and tricks for building your intuition, and we will do all kinds of fun, intuitive things to build that muscle. So that is one thing we do have on our Patreon if you guys want to dive deeper with a little bit more support. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening and have a great day.